Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you on Thursday, November the 4th. The year's 2021. Let's talk trading. Indicators. TRO mid dots. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine. TRO mid dots. I have it loaded right here. And when I first wrote the indicator, that's what it did. It plotted the current mid dot and the previous mid dot. But since then, I've added a few things. But let's just start off with the mid dots. And there's one thing you have to know. You have to turn the indicator on by setting turn off to false. And back when I traded stocks, I used the mid dots. And when I moved over to FOREX, I moved the mid dots. Or I traded with the mid dots also. And it's kind of a simple rule. So for example, here, if the open is below the mid dot, you want to look to short. If it's above the mid dot, you want to look to go long. And if price crosses the mid dot, you want to go with the candle color. So you can see here it was green. You can see here it was red. Really simple trade. You could pretty much just have a horizontal line at the previous and the current mid dot. And right here, you can turn the boxes on to have the price display. So right here, you would go short at 36.49 and go long at 36.14. That's pretty simple and straightforward. Now, what happened was some people wanted different options. So one of the options was, well, if I can do the mid dots, why not do the pivot? So you can see here, there's the pivot. Since we're on the daily, that's the daily pivot. Let's see. Oh, and then some people wanted to have the 25% and 50% level, or 25 and 75% level. So you want to see the quarters. And so there you have the quarters. And you could also consider those fib levels. And let's see, now let's turn some of this off. And the CPR is the central pivot range. And you've seen my indicators for that. So there's your central pivot range. And then we want to show the last red-green candle. Change. So I turned everything else to false. And so here and here, showing the last red candle and the last red candle here, last green candle, showing the high and low so you can look for a breakout. So for example, here, you would have been looking for a turn trade, which only would have netted you, about 6-7 pips. Okay, next, you can show the previous high low. And basically, these dots are triggers. So here's the previous high and low, tells you where to go for the breakout. And the reason I have the dots as opposed to doing lines, because sometimes you just want to see what happened with each candle as opposed to have a bunch of lines going across the chart. Show the close and the previous open. So there was the close for some strange. Okay. And then there's also targets where you want to look to take profit. And so there was a target. There was a target. And then there's one more set of targets. Range targets. This is based on the range of the candle. So you can see here, this is where you want to shoot for. So here it hit it. So that's where your take profit would have been set. And some of these others didn't get hit. And that's just based on range. And then you have a target multiplier here. So if you put it on, say, 0.25 as opposed to 0.5, it'll move the targets closer, and you can see once again which ones were hit, which ones wasn't. And then you can have the higher low, lower high, and how many bars to use. Remember, 34 is like a 3-ball on the 3-level ZZ indicator. So you can see here, here's the lowest high of the last 34, so we haven't quite reached it. And here's the highest low for the last 34. And you can see here, as we move forward, this is moving down and this is moving down. But usually those dots, we like to use them on M1. And so you can see here, price came down, touched it, bounced. And right here, you see price came through it. Now, also with the mid dots, you can use different periods. So for example, you could put the 5-minute dots up. On the M1, or you could have the 5-minute dots on H1 to see where they are, to see where you make your entries. Normally I do that current. You can, if you leave it to 0, it'll do all the bars, but if you say you only want to look at the last 10 bars, you can do it like this. And you see you only get the last 10 bars of dots. 0's just the default to mean do all the bars on the chart. And the reason you might do it is some people might have, 20 or 50 charts with a bunch of calculations, and so you don't want to overtax the CPU. So that'd be one reason. Even though with these modern CPUs, I guess some people can still overtax them. The box size, that's for the price box. If you want big boxes, you can go 3. And like for the size of the dots, if you want bigger dots, because you have a hard time seeing, you do it like that. Even though I call it dots, I changed it to diamonds because a lot of the other indicators use dots. And what you do is there's a wingding. And I can't remember, you'd have to look it up, but I think maybe 50 was a dot. It's been so long since I messed with those. Nope, obviously it's not 50. And just reset everything. And of course, you can pick out whatever colors you want. And looks like price is making a new low for the day here on the pound. So that's the TRO mid dots indicator. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And if there's an indicator you want me to do soon, do a video on soon, let me know that too. Let's see. Let's just look through the charts here in the monthly. 160 pips off the monthly open. All the gaps, let's see, we got one gap that hasn't filled. See, we broke through that weekly low, 36.67. And right here, that broke through here. Year one close, we broke through it. We broke through the yearly open. We're 119 pips below it. We broke out of the opening range for the year to the downside. We broke out of the opening range for the week. And where's the opening range for the month? Oh, we're still in the first week of the month, so it's the same. And you can see here where we are in comparison. We broke out of the inside bar low on the weekly. Monthly inside bar low is here. And that was 4 weeks ago we put in an inside bar. Oh, all the pound pairs are over 100 because there was Bank of England news today. And it was funny. I was on the phone with Walmart earlier. He was pretty much done trading for the day. And I mentioned to him, I said, you know what? I don't see how the news could be good. And then they were running the price up right before the news. And Walmart, I guess, thought I had a good idea. He shorted. He made a killing. He made a killing today. The thing is, it could have run the other way and you could get caught. So, but he took the chance and it paid off. So, yeah, it's just one of those things where you have to have your stop in place because every trade's a risk. I mean, that could happen on any trade, even if there's no news. You can see we hit the pivot point. So for those pivot traders, you were paid off. It's time for the red rats to feast. Price near pivot, bias is long. Hopefully you took your profit. We missed this week's pivots, but I think we took out some daily pivots. Well, there's one that hasn't been taken out here. Got close though, 20.204, 19.8. It almost took out that pivot. So we've got a missed pivot from 3 days ago. And we've already taken out the monthly pivot. Haven't missed the monthly pivot since 2014. And almost at a time in and out of the wick zones to the south. You can see here a nice little move up through that lowest high. Walmart trades, that one definitely paid off. You can see here this one paid off both ways. And just looking at that rat, So, fellow traders, I'm just about out of time. So, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So, drain the banks. This is the Rumple One, over and out.